another place without me, or an ecstasy, and I'm left wondering. You push, you beg me to feel it, I push, I beg you to leave it alone. You're making it harder to feel human. This can't work, it won't happen. All you can do is lost on me.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our PAX Unplugged video featurette series. As always, I am Essy, or Aaron Spencer, and we are here with Aaron from... Tell us about who you are, and about... I know you have your own booth over there, so tell us about that one. And then, of course, tell us about your work with Critical Kit UK.
Hi, my name's Aaron Bryant. I work a lot with Strange Machine Games and with Critical Kit. I'm based out of Florida. The stuff I do with Strange Machine Games is mainly product rep, but I did produce, I published my first big work of RPG with them, and it's called Charm. It's a very rules light system. Everything fits on a flashcard. I wrote most of the different settings in that book. That, along with a couple of other things that I worked on personally, is kind of what got Tim really excited.
Yes.
We met at Origins. And
I heard this is a really good con. I've never been myself, though.
I personally really like it. The attendance has been lacking the last few years. People go to Origins. I met Tim at Origins, and I showed him my business card. I did networking, and there was a friend I was with there that I was like, I don't know, there's something feels really good about that guy. So I went back, and I'm like, hey, do you want to do lunch?
Same vibes.
Yeah. And I said, do you want to do lunch anytime soon? And Tim and Sarah, which Sarah is the real mastermind behind Critical Kit Ltd. Don't let Tim tell you otherwise. So I asked him, do you want to do lunch? And he's like, yeah. So I go lunch, great vibes. And for the past 5 years, my flights have been absolutely screwed by weather or other things. So when Sunday rolls around, Tim asks, hey, do you have any time to hang out tonight? And I said, no, I don't have any time. I have to get on a flight. Lo and behold, like clockwork, my flight gets delayed to the next morning. So I'm like, hey, I've got time. Tim and I start hanging out at the bar with a couple of friends of mine. And he shows me some of the stuff that he's working on. I got to see an early look at Punk is Dead. I showed him one of the games that I've been working on since forever. It's one of those games that you never really know if you're going to finish. Yeah. It's just something you like working on. And it's called Rad Wasteland. And it's a very Western-themed game. And he's like, do you mind if I show you one more thing? And he shows me Death Valley, which is what I'm working on with him. It is a game where you are playing as an undead. Bit of a twist on, the normal hero kind of concept.
So we actually met Tim last year at PAX East, and Death Valley, I think what was given to us was the supplement demo.
Yeah, the quick start guide.
Yeah, okay, the quick start guide, which was amazing. We flipped through it, and both myself and my roommates were like, wow,
it's got very strong
Tim was very excited about it, though.
Themes. He is super excited.
Take this too, because we were really there to talk about White Sands, and we did an actual play on our channel for White Sands. But then at the end of the conversation, he said, here, make sure you take the Death Valley demo with you too. Yeah. And I'm glad that I did, because it's even just that demo alone, it's really exciting. Yeah, go ahead and continue there for the undead cowboys. It's great.
Basically, you're playing as an undead or a cold blood, which in the world of Death Valley, the only people who are undead are those who have died wrongfully. The concept is that Death himself is overworked, underpaid, can't keep his schedule together, classic millennial vibes.
Asphodel is busy these days.
Actually. And when you die wrongfully, Death can't get to you. He cannot sever your life force from your body. And then you rot inside of your corpse. And your life force becomes corrupted, and you raise as an undead.
Sounds highly unpleasant.
It is not nice. But basically, every single person is someone who died when they weren't supposed to.
Okay. I love that theme and concept.
Yeah. So it explores a lot of concepts of dealing with things that are completely out of your control. Because, one, you die when you weren't supposed to. So that's just cosmically, weird. You're dealing with that. And then you're dealing with the ramifications of becoming something that you don't understand. Like being a skeleton... You don't have muscles that animate you. You're
Right.
just a moving skeleton. I mean, we have some pretty classic stuff in there. There's skeletons, zombies, ghouls, vampires, and I expanded a lot of the undead selection. I think it totals about 9 now. We haven't locked in everything, but it's pretty close. One of them, my personal favorite, is a hellhound. And that's someone who was either burned to death or some other horrible thing involving fire.
Right.
And this is a person who can basically control fire, but is also healed by it. And they now have to live in a relationship where they are close to the thing that turn their entire life around. And that's a lot of the concepts
really
I like.
traumatic.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a lot of the concepts I like to get in the game.
Bittersweet
like
as well, like as far as
because
playing
horror
the game,
isn't
actually.
like just the things that are scary. Horror is more psychological than a lot of people give it credit for, and it's hard to make a proper horror.
Yeah, and it sounds like, would it be safe to say that some of the themes and some of the things that the players might experience would be about overcoming or living with trauma?
Yeah, that's
Like significant trauma.
that's definitely a big part of it.
So there's like a whole nother layer below just the undead in Western.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, we see movies about Westerns all the time, and
Yeah.
I love Western films, but they're huge overglorifications of that time period.
That is true.
It was a horrendous time to be alive, and to be, different in that time period was even worse.
Yeah,
And I'm sure that you know something about that.
I do.
But
There's always time travel questions about would you rather go backwards in time or forwards, and it's never backwards.
and never backwards.
Unless it's like 3,000 years and we're going to like Sumeria or something like
Yeah,
that.
because
but-
that's a whole other culture that, like, that we're getting off topic.
Yeah, okay. Back to the Western era.
So yeah, there's a lot of dealing with prejudices in that kind of setting. Now, obviously, it's under the veil of being a cold blood or an undead,
Yes.
as opposed to a warm blood. But I mean, the mortals are the boogeyman in this scenario. They outnumber you thousands to millions to one.
Kind of getting like Angry Villager Pitchfork vibes as far as the...
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of Frankenstein,
Yeah.
Frankenstein's monster getting chased down by the mob. So some of the other stuff that's in the game are heavily religious themes. One of the sects of religion that I studied to make the vampire religion that is the predominant religion of the undead was Gnostic Christianity, which
Okay.
is something that dates back to like the early 300s, considered heretical by the Catholic Church, which, gives me big ups for them.
Hell yeah, we love it. Love to see it.
And I use that as a basis for the vampiric religion that ended up being what governs most of the undead. So it's not like, they're wild and crazy and, ungovernable. It's honestly a theistic society in that
Okay.
they follow a lot of religious beliefs to deal with being
To try and make sense of everything about their current situation,
Exactly.
having to wrestle with this paranormal experience being a reality, and then also these angry villagers and humans who are trying to oppose
Absolutely.
them.
That was a pretty fun thing for me to research. I like doing a lot of like real world research for the stuff that I put in the
Yeah,
games.
I mean, it's important. It makes games more robust and better, generally speaking. So.
It really does.
What are some of the mechanics that stand out to you as some of the main features that really excite you about Death Valley?
So one of the things that really pumps me up is the specific healing mechanics that we have in place. Being an undead, you don't really go about healing the way a human would.
You did mention fire healing the
Yes,
hellhounds,
I did.
right?
Fire
Okay.
heals the hellhounds. So if you make a campfire, that's not something that an undead would normally make. But if you make a campfire, the hellhound can sap the heat from it and
Okay.
heal themselves. The skeletons, they heal by ripping bones off of carcasses and replacing their damaged bones with those pieces. Vampires, pretty obvious, they suck blood.
Yes.
Zombies eat brains, ghouls eat flesh. So in any scenario where your character has suffered from adversity, you will have to probably do something monstrous to get back to being full.
You're really hitting on some pretty deep human themes here, and that really excites me.
Thank you. I really like.
I think I'm getting it. It's just really the layers go deeper and deeper.
I like doing fucked up things.
Yeah.
Golly gee, I hope that doesn't say anything about me specifically.
No. I can definitely see how this can relate to a lot of shared experiences for either queer or other marginalized people coming in and trying to step in the shoes of
myself.
This allegory. Yeah.
So that's in a lot of my writing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lucky in the aspect that I am a big white guy.
Yeah.
And I recognize my privilege in that. Just putting it out there. Try to keep myself as abreast and aware of my situation and the situation of the people who are in the same communities as
Awareness is an essential part of contemporary writing.
It is. And I feel like my experiences with the community, while I genuinely have not had to deal with a lot of stuff that other people have, I have seen it and I am aware of it.
Right.
And I want people, when I'm writing something, I want them to see themselves in it and know that they're seen. That's important to me. If someone reads something that I've written and they say, oh, that's me, or oh, I see myself in that, then I've succeeded. That's my job.
I have really intense feels about this game now. Like this, the more I'm learning about it, the more I'm just kind of like, whoa.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I've only been working on it myself for the past couple of months. I specifically have gotten a lot of direction from Tim because
it's a good collaboration.
It was his baby initially, and then he said, "You need to make this your baby."
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to do that. I mean, one of the characters that specifically I've gotten a lot of writing done on recently, the sheriff, who is the father of this bounty hunter that's in the Quick Start guide.
Okay.
Wayne Holster, I think his name was. I have really bad memory issues.
I only flipped through the Quick Start guide once. I saw the themes, I saw the sheets, and I was like, okay, I need more on this. So I'm glad I was able to connect with y'all here at PAX Unplugged.
For him, you know, I partially had to write his character from the standpoint of someone who is bigoted towards the undead. Because there's a disconnect between his daughter, who is trying to work with the undead, and himself, who has some kind of experience in his past that keeps him from being able to trust them. And so
this just keeps getting deeper and deeper. I'm loving how much you're adding here.
Part of the exploration that I did for that is like, why would he get that way? And so I wrote that his mother had been killed by an undead, and his father knew what had happened, but the entire town turned on his dad because he sounded like a crazy person.
Right.
They didn't know that undead existed at that point. So his father, being ridiculed all the time, became an abusive person because he was basically just constantly ashamed of himself and turning it on his kid. His kid grew up through that, then learned later, after he was taken under the wing of the current sheriff, that undead were real, and this is what happened to your family, so that his dad wasn't crazy, but was still a jerk to him, you know, his entire youthful life. And then he has to deal with the feelings that are associated with that, along with keeping people safe from the undead. And it becomes basically a catastrophe for him. And he goes on this 4-year-long war where he just wreaks havoc on the undead until the mayor of the town basically tells him, you need to step back because they're eventually going to come over and screw everyone.
No, so that answers my next question about lore. I was going to ask you to explore some lore, but that's perfect.
There you go.
Last question here is something for a very general audience, and it's, what would a 2 to 4 hour session of gameplay look like? And do you think that this is more suited to a one-shot or to a limited run actual play of, say, 4 to 8 episodes?
I think that you definitely could get 4 to 8 episodes out of this. You could also do a long-form campaign. It's 4 to 8 sessions for sure, and a 2 to 4 hour session would probably look like some sort of adversity pops up for the undead. They have to investigate around it.
Adversity or a threat or...
Exactly. Adversity being the broad word for any kind of thing that is negative towards them. And then they have to investigate it and then decide how they're going to solve the problem, whether through diplomacy, violence, or some third option that may not be readily apparent.
And sort of a default situation might be, if I'm putting everything together, say a posse who has come out to try and purge the undead from this particular region.
If we're talking like real basic stuff, like even in the Quick Start guide, there is an undead that went crazy and started terrorizing a town. And the undead of Bardo's Bluff are assigned by the daughter of the sheriff, the bounty hunter that I talked about, to deal with that problem, or she will, and it would look bad if she had to deal with it.
Understood.
So they would have to go hunt down the wayward undead and prove that they're willing to work with the humans. Otherwise, it just makes them look real bad.
And I'm assuming there's a lot of opportunities to essentially tackle these threats or issues in any way that the characters come up with.
Any way that you can think of. There are obviously predisposed methods in a Western.
Sure.
You're likely to get into a shootout. But if you can do something that convinces or chills out the undead enough where they will be reasonable and work with you, or you can talk to a group of people into realizing you're not just a monster.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah.
Person, then you definitely can do that, and that's definitely what I want people to explore in a game like this. Because while I love Westerns for the aesthetic and shootouts, everything that makes a Western good is the things that are around those things.
Yes.
Why they're doing the shootout, what they could have done to prevent it.
It's not just a spaghetti Western shootout.
Exactly.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, one more time for everyone out there on the internet, who are you and where can people find you and Critical Kit, as well as information about Death Valley?
Well, my name's Aaron Bryant. You can find me on a couple different platforms. I haven't streamed in a long time because I've been kind of mad dogging myself for the book that we're working on. But you can also find Critical Kit at www.criticalkit.co.uk. And Death Valley is definitely going to be on there. And I also gave you my card with a lot of other information on how to get to me. And I have bad memory.
Okay, thank you. We'll reach out, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll be in touch about Death Valley.
It's a pleasure.